I'd like to show you how to paint gray hair in your acrylic portrait. Again, I'm working on this 20 by 24 portrait of the couple, and I'm at a stage right now where I'd like to add some more nuances to the woman's hair. Now, I do need to mention that I do have several layers, so this tutorial isn't going to be showing you the very beginning steps, but it will show you some steps in how to increase the contrast, increase the realism, add some nuances to hair that maybe you haven't considered before. And so I'd like to show you as you watch over my shoulder here as I work on this portrait. But before we get into the actual painting process, I'd like to give you a free gift. I want to say thank you for watching this channel. And so at the bottom of the video description, actually no, at the top of the video description and then in the comments section, I have a free downloadable guide, and that's called the Value Checker tool. Now the Value Checker tool works super well for double checking your values and just making sure you have your values comparing from the reference photo to the painting. What it consists of, it's a one-page guide. You can print it off easily from your computer, and then it has kind of like a sliding scale from dark to light, showing you the dark values, and then as they fade to light, and then a few different tints, like a skin tone tint and a neutral tone, and then a different skin tone. So we have like 4 different categories, and all you need to do is just basically hold it up to your canvas. You'll find a square that matches the area in question, and then you can then hold it up to your reference photo and match that same color as well. So go ahead and get that free Value Checker tool. Again, that's in the top comment here in the video, also in the video description, and my gift to you. Enjoy. All right, well, let's get into the actual painting process, and I'm going to ask a blessing before we begin. Father, I do ask you to bless this portrait. Help me to be able to continue to capture the likeness of the subjects, the realism, and make this look like them so that the client would love it. I pray a blessing on the students. I ask, Lord, that you'd keep them in good health, heal any pains that would inhibit them from painting, or any sort of health conditions that would inhibit them from painting. And I pray, Lord, you provide for them commissions and provide for them art sales and everything they need to continue doing their work, and that this video would be beneficial to them. Bless them in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so we're gonna, like I say, work on her hair. I've got some matte medium on my palette, and again, that's just clear acrylic without the pigment, and you can buy that pretty much at any art store. I get mine by the gallon at novacolorpaint.com, and there's actually a link in the video if you want to get that. You can buy a whole gallon of matte medium for the same price as what you pay for 16 ounces. So this is I think about maybe 6 or 7 times the amount for the same price. So it's a pretty good deal. But anyway, yeah, so that's the glazing technique. We mix a little bit of paint with this matte medium, and it makes a huge difference. I just want to let you know, if you did choose to buy paint from Novacolor, mediums, whatever, I do receive a small affiliate commission for that. And if you'd like to support this channel in that way, please go ahead and do that. It doesn't change what you would pay. And you could also purchase it directly from novacolorpaint.com as well. Either way. But anyway, so we're taking some raw umber dark, and let's take a little bit of ultramarine blue. All right, I did add just a bit of burnt sienna just to warm it up. So raw umber dark, ultramarine blue, and just a touch of burnt sienna. And that's because I detect a little bit of a warmer tint in her hair. So if we look at the reference photo and just kind of see what colors we're looking at, got some warmer tints in here. But what we really want to do is increase the contrast, get some darker shadows on the sides so that the top really stands out. And that's what all this is all about, is really increasing the contrast, not unnaturally, but to the level that it should be based on the reference photo. So I'm just adding this glaze right here to the top and filling that in using this small round brush, and that's going to give me a little bit of control to also imply some strands of hair. You know, so I can push it with more pressure and get a larger area covered, almost like a flat brush or a filbert. But then I can also ease back and use very light pressure, and I can achieve some very, very thin brush strokes that will describe, you know, the finer strands of her hair. Now, right here is an opportunity to increase some contrast as let's actually put it in here, and let's just change the color a little bit. We'll add some ultramarine blue and just cool it down a little bit. All right, so again, this is a translucent glaze. You can see through it. Semi-transparent or translucent, whatever term you want to use. And so that's how we paint with this technique, and we just build up many, many layers. It does give you a lot of flexibility. It allows you to build up some incredible shading, you know, where you have the smooth gradations, and blending looks so much more natural. And I would encourage you to give it a try. You know, even if you're used to painting opaque, just add it to your toolbox, so to speak. You can always do glazes on top of opaque, or you can glaze exclusively, you know, from start to finish. Although I do tend to do some semi-opaque layers within my paintings to give them a little more substantive feel to them, a little more of a painterly feel, and I like the combination of those two things. All right, so now we're going to add this glaze to the right-hand side. One of the things you can do is add just a little titanium white to your glaze, so I have it on the tip of my brush. And by doing that, it just it helps the glaze to cover a little bit faster. You know, after you have several layers down, it can help to give your layers some more opacity. So that's what we're doing here, and we're developing a few nuances on the side. And we're just going to kind of darken this whole thing. Now I'm using kind of a more broad brush stroke pressure and letting it fan out a little bit. So I'll use, when I begin a painting, some larger flat brushes, you know, anything ranging from like a 2-inch flat, although most of the time I'm going to use a 1-inch flat, and then, you know, taper down with 3/4 or 1/2-inch flat. And then I usually finish up with a round brush for most of it, although if I feel I need to, I can adjust an entire area. Let's say I feel like the trees are too light, I can just darken the whole thing with a large brush. And with the glaze, because it's semi-transparent, I'm not going to obliterate my detail, and I won't have to do it all over again. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to have to waste any time when I paint, because you know, I have a lot of commission projects on tight deadlines. So like they say, time is money, and you know, we want to be good stewards of the time God has given us regardless. So now I think that's good, and I'm going to need to probably darken this area up here a little bit more. And I think right in here we can add a little glaze because it looks a little darker in this area. But we're just allowing some of these highlights on the top to really, really stand out. And so we can get that shininess of the hair. And another way to do that is to add a glaze, you know, to the bottom where the hair is fading into the top of the head, you know. And so you can add these glazes and really bring out the shine, you know, by leaving those highlights in there. But I also come in with titanium white, maybe mixed with another color on the top, and also add some highlights that way as well. Now, maybe we're going to take a look at the guy here and not neglect him, because his hair color is very similar. And let's darken this right side, because we can see it does need to get darker. And darken this part right up here, and then we'll also darken this area down here as well. I should have started on the left-hand side. Sometimes I like to work from left to right, but I also work sometimes from points of interest, and that just caught my eye first, so I worked on that first. But now I just have to be careful where I rest my hand so I don't blur or smear that up. And you have to be patient with this technique. Rome wasn't built in a day, and so neither was, a realistic painting. Well, check that. Sometimes they are. Yeah, sometimes if you do alla prima, you can do a good painting in one day. But you have to be patient with this technique. And so if I can't get this done in, this layer, this pass going over it, then I'll just continue to add on. So I'm just trying to incrementally bring the painting closer to the finish line. That's all we're trying to do. Now, the glazes dry very, very fast. And, a lot of artists ask me if I use retardant mediums, and I don't. The quick answer is I don't. Why do I not use retardant mediums? Because I actually want the paint to dry fast. With this technique, if I put down a thin translucent layer right here, and I've got that completely dry within a couple minutes, that's fantastic. Then I can go back on top and I can add another layer. And depending on the conditions, how humid it is, I can work pretty fast in that regard. Now during the summer it's more humid, so I can't follow up with a layer as quickly, but in the winter it gets very dry. I run a external wood heater and pipe in the heat, so it gets very, very dry in my studio. And with that, then I can follow up with layers so quickly. I mean, within the matter of just a minute or two, they're already dry. So for me, the drying time is actually a thing about acrylic that I like. I've made it work for me. For a lot of people, that's a drawback, the fast drying time, but I actually love it. So, okay, so we're adding a little bit of burnt sienna to this. And we're going to just blend here a little bit more on the top. Okay, and we're kind of bring that all in, add a little bit of raw umber dark to this. Just kind of darken this edge where her hair meets the face, and that's important to add more contrast. We really want to enrich those areas, and you want to really show the shadows of how the hair interacts on the skin, on the forehead. That's one of the biggest mistakes I see beginner artists making, is they don't put in the shadows from the hair on the forehead or wherever it would naturally fall. And if you neglect to do that, then the hair just looks like it's painted on. But if you put in those shadows, then it really gives a certain quality to it that it's there. Now, we can shift the color of the skin tones, add a little bit of pyro orange to this, and I find that really works well for just getting a sense of there being maybe some hair behind here. All right, so just a little hint of translucence of the hair. The way to achieve that is actually to put the color of the skin. Let's add a little bit of naphtha red. You could use alizarin crimson as well. But so the effect of making her hair look more sparse and a little translucent, like you can see through it, and there's the bangs or the frills or whatever you call it. I mean, they call it a different thing in England. The fringe, that's what it's called. That you can see through it, and it's more sparse, and the way you achieve that again is by painting the skin tones through the hair, but very, very faint, just using a very, very light touch, a light glaze. And you can see this, how thin that is. In fact, I'll show you here on my white card what it actually looks like. All right, see how translucent that is. Notice I've got these other colors. Now look, can see right through it. You can see how that interacts even with the green underneath, but that's what a glaze looks like when it's just on a white card. Now, so when we add that to her hair, then that really can increase the realism. I'll have to do some more blending and maybe add a little more of this color here as well, but yeah. Again, I have to be patient and not try to do it all in one glaze. So we'll just kind of smooth that out and let that stand. So you can see some of the differences we've made to her hair. Not finished by any means, but I wanted to show you some of the techniques for adding some volume, for adding some realism, and you can see, you know, how they're looking together. I did work on the man as well, so let's show him too. But yeah, I hope this video has been helpful to you. And you know, if you like this video, if you got something out of it, please do me a favor, like the video so it can be seen by more people on YouTube. That's how YouTube's algorithms work. Subscribe to this channel, and then when I have a new video posted, you'll get notified, and click that notification bell as well so that you're notified when I put out a new video. And keep in touch with me. Go to my website, realisticacrylic.com, where I have several tips, tutorials, videos, free classes, downloadable guides that can help you with your portrait painting. So keep in touch with me there. But for now, I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. God bless, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.